This is the Unstarving Musicians Podcast. The podcast features conversations with musicians and music industry professionals, all intended to help musicians be better at marketing, business, the creative process, and all the other things that empower us to do more of what we love, make music. Hey, it's your host Rabanzo here. Thanks for tuning in. If you're an indie music artist or fan, you're in the right place. Whoever you are, I appreciate you. As a gigging musician and fan of live music, I am committed to sharing my personal expertise with you. I'm also committed to learning about and sharing the expertise of other music professionals, which is what I do here on the podcast, extract that expertise. If you'd like to be privy to what I'm learning, hop over to unstarvingmusician.com and join the community. You'll get an email from me, usually weekly, with tips, tricks, insights, and secrets intended to make your music journey a little better and brighter. I'll never send you anything spammy, and you can unsubscribe at any time. If you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, also known as iTunes. The podcast and this episode are powered by the Unstarving Musician's Guide to Getting Paid Gigs, How to Get Booked and Paid What You're Worth Over and Over Again. It was written by me, and it's available on Amazon, Kobo.com, and one day soon, Apple iBooks, when I can finally figure out how to publish it there. The book is also available as a standalone podcast called the Unstarving Musician's Guide Podcast. You can learn more about the book and the companion podcast at unstarvingmusician.com/book. I'd love it if you picked up a copy, and I'd love it even more if you left a review. Right. I'm getting pretty good at that, I think. Ray Prim is an Austin-based singer-songwriter to whom I was introduced by Laura Price, who is also an Austin-based singer-songwriter. Ray refers to Laura as the cat's meow. You can hear my chat with her in episode 47. Funny thing about Ray is that people find him to be funny when he's on stage, which actually perplexes Ray. I ascertained, however, during our chat that he very much appreciates humor, and I suspect that this, combined with his onstage delivery, has earned him recognition as that funny guy. Ray has something that allows him to be the songwriter and performer that he wants to be. Something that allows him to write songs and perform with great players only when and where he wants. The something I'm referring to is a day job. Ray spent a lot of years touring and struggling. One day he had an epiphany, or maybe it was just burnout, that led him to start working a day job, something he'd never done before. Today he's playing house concerts and select venues in the Austin area and getting paid well to do it. Our conversation definitely goes in many directions. We talk about Ray's opinion on the best tortillas in Austin, how his addiction to TV feeds his songwriting, an informative discussion on house concerts, his opinions about today's rap music, and dealing with poor audience etiquette. I love his latest album, To Whom It May Concern, and you get to hear a track from that album at the end of our conversation. The track is Find the Suit. Here's me and Ray. Ray, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up?
Man, I am enjoying my breakfast coffee. It is a pretty darn nice day where I'm at in Panama near a beach, and we're at the beginning of rainy season, but it's actually a nice day, man. Here, before we started recording, we were talking about, speaking of breakfast, about your breakfast. So I told you I was going to ask you about something else first, but we stopped ourselves because you were talking about defending a particular establishment there with breakfast tacos. You want to tell our listeners about it really quick?
Well, I want to tell people, people seem to look down on Taco Cabana, talk about it's not authentic Mexican breakfast tacos, and I'm just trying to tell everybody, I don't care. It has the best tortillas that I've tasted in town. Now, there might be people lined up to try to shoot me or whatever, but man, those things go hard. I love them. I mean, now the eggs and stuff are not the greatest, and the bacon is flimsy as hell, but sometimes what I do, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but sometimes I go to Taco Cabana, buy the tortillas, and then go to this place called El Chorrito and buy the eggs and stuff and take their tortillas off and put their meat and stuff inside that Taco Cabana.
As you told me how great the tortillas were, because I remember Taco Cabana, and it's been a long time, but as you were telling me how great the tortillas were, I was thinking to myself, well, you could actually just empty out the contents if you didn't think they were up to par with the tortilla and put your own stuff in there, but it sounds like you do that.
Yeah, you can buy it. They sell, a place is good when you can just buy tortillas at Taco Cabana.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I go there and I'll buy them, and it's off the chain. But that's a lot of work, though. So I'm lazy, but that's what I call cooking. I mean, if I do that, then I can cook.
For those of your who are listening to, Ray is based in Austin, Texas, and there's just a lot of fine Mexican food and sort of taco establishments there. So for him to rave about these tortillas is a big deal. And for anyone that wants to give him a hard time, if you know how to contact him, you just give him a hard time about it. Ray?
Don't y'all mess with me. I'm trying to tell y'all right now. I'll just send it to the grave.
Before I get into my first question, I connected with you or found out about you through Laura Price, who recently relocated from San Jose, California to Austin. And how did you two meet?
We were singing backup. We were singing backup for this guy, Dr. Joe. And so she was a backup singer, and we were on his album and whatnot. And we were singing with him, and I met her, and she was a blues singer. And so she was telling me about all the stuff she was doing, and I was like, I started telling her, well, you can start introducing her to some players here. And then we played at Saxon. We played this one show at Saxon Pub, and I believe she came up there with us at Saxon Pub and started singing, and Richard really loved her. She got a show from just singing backup on one song. That's how good she is.
Yeah.
So he just heard her singing backup.
I remember the first time I heard her in San Jose, and so I've been a gigging musician for a long time as well, and I'm a drummer. And when I moved to San Jose, it was kind of like when Laura moved to Austin. I just didn't know anybody, and I moved from Dallas-Fort Worth, a lot of great musicians there, as you probably know. And I walked into a blues jam at a pretty well-known blues club, and yeah, I saw her singing, and she was very kind. I signed up to go play a little bit, and she was really kind in that she was like, hey, please come back. We need more good players to come up. And which really, I've told her, we've talked about this several times recently, but I told her that this was way back in around, I don't know, 2001 or 2. I told her that moment actually got me back out meeting more people. It was just something about the way she boosted my confidence by saying that. But she is really great. And she actually told me when we spoke that there are so many great musicians out where you two are at that she kind of wonders sometimes, like, can I hang with these people? But she knows she can.
Oh, yeah. That's the life of a musician. There's always somebody better, and there's always going to be days where you feel like you can't do certain things. But the thing you got to remember is that there's enough ears out here for everybody. So if anybody's digging you, you've accomplished something. So Laura is the cat's meow. Not just as far as talent-wise, her personality, too, because that's what drew me to her as well. It's like she's just very cool, laid back and kind and whatnot, and very open. So it's very easy to be friends with her. It's like, I really dug her.
I know from speaking with her that your friendship with her means a lot, and I'm sure that has a little bit to do with she's the new kid in town now, and that you've connected. It sounds like you've connected her with a lot of people, but I'm sure it also is a testament that you're probably a pretty nice guy.
I'm okay. My girl sometimes thinks I'm not, but I think I'm cool.
So let me get to my first question now. I gathered that you use humor at your shows, maybe between tunes, or at least people perceive you as using humor at your shows or being funny at your shows. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I really don't know I don't know. I can't explain it. I'll say microphone, and they, I don't know, like, why are they laughing? I don't know what it is. Like the other day, we played this loud place, right? Man, it was loud as hell. The week before, I have different variations of my band. I have like a quartet. I have a thing where just me and Mexican Chocolate sing. I have a rock version of the band. And so the week before, we were playing at this place, and I had the rock band playing, and there was nobody in there, and it was quiet. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, I'm going to bring the quartet in here. And then the next week, we'll bring the quartet where it's real quiet music. It's just dead. It's just, hey, people just talking the whole time, right? I mean, I was being serious. I was like, I said this onto the crowd. I was like, my girl always gets on me while I'm playing guitar while I'm watching TV. And I said, it's for nights like this. It trains you. People start cracking up laughing. I was being serious. I don't know what it is about making people laugh. I couldn't tell you. And then they want me to do stand-up, and I'm like, no, I can't do stand-up because I'm not writing jokes. I don't know what it is.
When I initially contacted you, I was looking, I think, your Facebook page or your music page, and you had posted something that a comedian had done. It was the guy who's all teared up, and he's doing a selfie video and talking about his little daughter, and he was hungry. Fried chicken thing. And it's really cute, but I'm guessing that the whole thing about people thinking that you're so funny is just you really appreciate humor. I mean, that you strike me as that type of person anyway, just from the little tiny bit that I know about you.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I'm telling you, it's like I've never seen. And me and Tom were talking about this. Tom Meany, another great songwriter here in Austin, Texas. So me and Tom were saying, and the next time you go to a show, check it out. Like, I think sometimes it's a nervous laugh. Like, I think people, like, I'll go to a show and a musician will say something And I don't think it, I mean, I hear him just talking. I don't think it's funny, but I look around and people are just like, I'm like, what is going on? Did they put laughing gas in this place? So it's like, I think sometimes it's a nervous laugh that people are laughing. I don't necessarily think I'm doing anything super funny, but then I'll go tell a joke and it's nothing but cricket. So I can't explain it. Like I worked out a joke one time to say, and it did not work. So I think a lot of it is nervous laugh because they don't like silence.
Am I correct in that people seem to, like if I ask somebody who has followed you a little bit, that they'd say, oh yeah, they'd talk about the band and how good you are, and then they'd say, oh, and he's really funny. Do you kind of have that reputation?
Yeah, I get that a lot. I'm telling you, I don't know why. I can't. I am not trying to be funny. I don't get it. I've gone through my life like that. It's like, sometimes it makes me nervous. Like, are they laughing at me? Because I'm not trying to be funny. They just I've had that my whole life. People are just start laughing. I don't know. It sometimes messes my self-esteem. I'm like, why are they laughing at me? I'm not trying to be funny. It happens to me a lot at shows, and it happens to me. Now, on Facebook, I'll purposely go out and try to be funny, and I'll do certain things with my dog, and, you know, I like to tell these stories to promote my shows and stuff like that, and I'll tie some humor into it. I think I can write funny. I think I could be a writer on, like, Saturday Night Live or something like that. I think I could do that because when I have time to think about it, then I think I can come up with some funny stuff. But other than that, I don't know. It's just always been since I was growing up. I'd say something. I can't explain it to you.
You're probably just the cut up naturally. I had another guest on recently who is based out of Oak Cliff, not terribly far away from you, but his latest album, the story of it is based on relationships that he's had with his wife and his previous wife. And when I was reading about them, he was telling me about them, I was a little confused. And he said that at his shows, when he talks about them, people are very confused and they kind of laugh. It's become kind of a joke that he gets a little mixed up in his relationship. So I don't know. I bring it up only because, you know, he's not like this guy that you'd meet him and think he's terribly funny. He seems to have a nice sense of humor, but people just get a kick out of it. And I'm sure they're just, I suppose that in a way people are just out having fun and they know they're going to enjoy what's happening. And there's just something about you that makes them happy.
I won't fight it.
Speaking of your life, I wanted to ask you if you could please tell me a story about your childhood just to get a little context of who you are.
Childhood. So I was born in the D.C. area. When I was younger, I used to be able to run in slow motion. My mom and them said, do you remember the $1 Million Man?
Yeah.
Are you old enough to remember that?
I do, yeah. Steve Austin.
Steve Austin, yes. Finally somebody. Man, you tell these people like, I don't know what you're talking about. You want a loan or something? And so I used to be able to jump downstairs. This is what they told me. I used to be able to jump downstairs in slow motion and run in slow motion like the Bionic Man. And so I guess I was always in the middle of trying to perform at an early age, you know. They get my parents around and say, look what he could do. And I'd get on the stair, jump off the stair in front of these people, and then run in the thing and do that pump, 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 pump. You know, the noise. Like, I'm sure listeners are like, they don't know what I'm talking about. Y'all need to go look up the Bionic Man. This is back when TV was TV, had great plots. All this reality show was gone. And I used to do that. Then I used to pretend like I was Prince with a broomstick. So I guess I was always trying to do something performing, but the main thing I wanted to be growing up was a rapper. Because I loved Run DMC and all that stuff. I was just never good at it. Like if I could be anything, because what I listen to mostly is if I could be anything, it'd be a rapper, but I just can't. I can't rap. That doesn't stop me from trying now. I ain't gonna sit there. I'll put some stuff out on my Bandcamp. I'll try to rap, but I'm just not a great rapper. So when I realized I wasn't that great at that, I started playing like football and stuff like that, and then went away from football I went to a concert and I saw Depeche Mode, and I was like, and I fell back in love with it. I was like, I want to be on stage and stuff like that. And then I started trying to play bass. Was the first thing I picked up. And then tried to play bass, and I was like, the bass is too heavy to be around my neck and play. So then I took that off and I said, let me go find a guitar and a drummer. I found a guitar and a drummer, and I fell in love with rock and roll. And then after rock and roll, I saw Damien Rice, which made me switch up to a acoustic guitar and string instruments. And now I'm here talking to you. I mean, that's pretty much how it is as far as my music and life career. Everything else is just is a blur.
See, kids, rap is a talent, because this guy I'm talking to, I'm telling you, is very talented. You're going to find out when you go check out the show notes and check out his recordings and hear the track we're going to play at the end of this episode. But for anybody who doubts it, man, I'm telling you, it is.
Who doubts it? You run into people that doubt rapping is a talent?
Old people.
Okay. I thought yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I have turned into old man telling kids to get off my lawn because this new rap that they got going out. There's this kid called Yachty.
Mm-hmm.
You know him?
I don't.
Oh God, it's just this new rap. It's not rapping. It's not the skill of the newest rap is gone. Like there's no more. The last two rappers that I really like is J. Cole. I like Lamar Kendrick. I forgot the other guys. His name is Cypher something. But a lot of this new rap is just, it's more about the music, the beat.
Mm-hmm.
And they may say something every 2 seconds. What's the one guy saying? My yacht is, what does he say? Something about his yacht. It's cold in Minnesota. That's all he says the whole time. Yachty, it's cold in Minnesota. It's cold in Minnesota. It's like, duh, everybody knows it's cold in Minnesota. You ain't saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like no substance or whatever. It's just telling us the weather. Like, you can get a job on ABC for that. Like, I don't need you to tell me the weather is cold in Minnesota. I mean, come on, man. And he's the black guy. What do you know about being cold in Minnesota? It's like 3 black guys in Minnesota last time I went. And yeah, I didn't see him. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
I'm going to confess to you, I've never really been super familiar with all the artists in rap. I know who some of the bigger ones are, but my wife and I watched My Next Guest, I think is called, with David Letterman, where he's just doing sit-down interviews, and he had Jay-Z on there.
Ooh, Jay-Z.
Who I knew really nothing about other than the guy's like apparently a great businessman and quite the popular rapper. And it was a really fascinating interview, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's really cool.
Wait. Back up. You didn't know Jay-Z?
No, I know Jay-Z. I had just never listened to him, and I didn't know much about him.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, you need to go listen to the Blueprint.
All right, I'll do it.
When we finish this, go to iTunes, listen to the Blueprint. I mean, everything else is, there's certain rappers certain artists have that album.
Yep.
That when they get to that plateau, it's like they've got that album. Blueprint is his. You've got to go check out Nas too. I'll send you some stuff.
I'm going to check it out, and I appreciate that because after we watched the interview, I was like listening to a little bit of his stuff, and I was wishing that I knew, what is his sort of best work, and I didn't know really. So, and I don't trust, like, when I see on Spotify, for instance, like what's popular, it kind of seems like it's usually whatever the latest release is. So for an artist like him who's been around for a long while, I don't really know. So I appreciate that. And yes, I mean, whatever, that's cool.
The Blueprint. Nas, go ahead and check out Nas. But I'm more like 90s and 2000 and below. Like once 2000 hit, I don't know a lot of these younger rappers because I don't believe they're rapping. There's only, like I said, there's only Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole that I really dig. And there's some other guy, his name is Cypher or something. My brother keeps me kind of hip. I have 2 younger brothers.
That's good to have.
Yeah, so they always send me stuff. So,
how many configurations do you play in the band? You mentioned 3. Are those kind of the ones? And are you generally playing the same repertoire, but just reimagined for the particular configuration, or do you have almost completely different repertoires for, like you mentioned, the quartet, the rock one, and I forget the other one, but yeah, can you talk a little about that?
So there's a 7-piece. So the biggest that I've done with the band is a 10-piece band. And I'll do that if when I have my CD release. That's guitar, bass, drums, electric guitar, horns, violins, cello, 4 violins and cello. And the backup singer, Mexican Chocolate. He's always with me. Mexican Chocolate, my backup singer. He's for me, the best vocalist in town. Like I feel like this. I'm on stage with him and I feel like Barbara Hershey in the movie Beaches. Like, I'm always the wind beneath his wings. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things, like I'm living in his shadow when I sing. And people like telling me, why? You're brave. I mean, this guy can sing, but I don't really care because I'm always about the music. But anyway, so I've got that. That's the biggest variation. So I was like telling myself, I can't afford to always play like that. That's something I can too. So the main band that plays the most is a 7-piece, which is bass, drums, guitar, Mexican Chocolate, 2 violins, and keys, right? That's our main thing that we play. And we might do that once a month, once every other month. Then I have the quartet. So the quartet, what the quartet does, it plays the songs that I play with the 7-piece, just broken down and maybe added some more stuff that I don't normally play with the band. It's a slower set. It's laid down. Even the stuff that I play with the band that may be up tempo, I bring it down, I slow it down and have the strings nice and pretty. And that's with 2 violins, a cello, and a viola. And me and Mexican Chocolate. And then I have the rock band because I remember I started with rock before I got to this. So I was like, I want to go back. That right there, I'm slowly like we'll cover some of the 7-piece band, but we'll only do like maybe two or three songs, and the rest of those are all different. So when people come to see that band, they're seeing totally different music. It's rock music. It's like this different stuff. And then even if I do play one of my songs from the 7-piece, it's not the same. It's like it's rocked out and it was different and it's more up tempo and that's it. And then I'll play like little small house concerts with just me and Mexican Chocolate, where we'll play songs that we don't play with any of them. I just write because I'm in a songwriting group, so I've got over 100 something songs that I still haven't even put in with a band or something. It's just they're just sitting out to have a Bandcamp page and the SoundCloud sessions, and that's one of them. Then I have this other thing, and just have all these songs that I've done demos with, or I've done stuff that I've never done with the perform live. And so I was like, man, I keep writing these songs and I'm not doing anything with them. Why don't I just get different variations of the band? And that way I can play, because I don't want to tour anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did that for 10 years. And if you're not going out and playing anywhere, if you want to play more than once in town and really bring people out, you need to give them something different. Something that they'll say, okay, you know what? Well, Ray's playing here, but it's not going to be the same thing. So we want to check it out, especially with the rock band and the other stuff, because there's songs that they won't hear. I don't even have these on albums. So there's songs that they might dig, but they can only see it if they come check out the rock band. And I don't know when I'm going to make an album with the rock band. I don't know about that.
That's cool. So I think Laura mentioned to me that you were doing something that I guess it made sense to her and it felt like something she wanted to try to emulate. And that was that she's been doing music, as you know, full time for quite some time. And then on top of that, living out in the South San Francisco Bay Area and performing all over the Bay Area there. But it's a really expensive place to live. But she knows that you have a somewhat similar background, which I'd love to get into, with performing a lot in your past and touring and all that. And she said, I met this guy. He's like the whole package. He's really great. He's super nice. And he's done what I've done. And he's here now. And he took I don't know what you're doing, but he does something that she hadn't done in a long time. He just went and got a day gig that may or may not have anything to do with music. And you're focused on a project or two instead of like playing so many nights a week and touring. And for her, and your situation, I understand, may be completely different, but for her, she said, I've been out here in Austin. I can actually do that. I can focus on a project at a time. I can play once or twice a week just on the weekends, and I don't have to live in a dump with a bunch of people anymore.
Yeah.
So, but the thing that I wanted to ask you, we may have been talking about someone else, but did I remember right that you spent some time in New York as well?
Yeah, I moved here from Poughkeepsie, New York. But that was in '92. I've lived here longer than I've lived in New York. I mean, I went to high school in Poughkeepsie, and a little bit in Friendswood, Texas. And I actually heard that interview. She sent it to me. So I love that interview.
Thank you.
I think what she's talking about is like, so when I toured, and this is crazy. So when I toured and played, I did it for 10 years with the rock band and stuff like that. And you live there and you don't have a job, you don't have certain things, and you live a certain life, and you're living in a house with a band and all this stuff. And so I was like, you know what, and you're playing shows that you don't want to play. Like, music is not, for me at that time, music wasn't music. It was a job. Like, it was like a 9-to-5 job. And I'm like regretting having to go presenting shows and regretting that I took these shows and going and getting in a band with a bunch of guys and getting to a town and playing to like 10 people. You know what I mean? And taking shows because I had to pay the light bill. And so one day when we came off a tour, our drummer at the time, wife, worked for Manpower. And every time we'd come off a tour, she put us in a job. And so she put me in this Manpower thing with this company that was contracts for IBM, working at these docks. And you just, you work at these docks. And I was like, you know what? And I got that first paycheck. I was like, man, I ain't never had that much money in my life. I was like, you know what? That's it. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was looking, I think I was like 28, 29. And I was like, music business has a shelf life anyway. It's like, if you haven't made it or made anything substantial by a certain time, they're going to write you off. I mean, anything's possible, but most likely it's not. You know what I mean? So I got to start. I'm a realist, so I started thinking to myself, well, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go play a restaurant and play these gigs because I have to. I'm going to only play gigs that I want to, and pick gigs out of what I want to do, not because of out of necessity. So I got a day job, and I've done this I turn down more gigs than I play. You know what I mean? It's like people come up to me, my son, he's 3 years old. Can you play his birthday party? Why? I pay you $500. No, thank you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's like, no, thank you. I got a job that'll pay me. I'm cool. But thank you for asking me. I appreciate you. So that's what I got into. It's like, and I've got friends that are just like, it's like they're just struggling. But I mean, some people, here's another thing about me. I'm not one of these cats that like to just play to play. I'm not from that cloth. I won't go and just go to a house and just jam with somebody. That's not how I am. I just don't like music for that. I like writing songs. I like creating songs. I like sitting down with somebody and working it out and seeing what happens in the result of a song. I'm not a big jamming thing. Honestly, if I didn't have players that wanted to play live, I could go without playing live. That doesn't really concern. It's just not me. I learned it a long time ago. Maybe because I got worn out from it, from doing it for 10 years,
Sure.
But I'm just content. But, when you play with other players and you got to figure out a way to pay them, I don't have money. I don't have to make enough money where I can just pay them to come over to my house and practice. So
yeah, right.
I got to go play shows and get them rewarded and get them paid just so I can do what I want to do over here on this end. So that's what I realized I wanted to do. And then I could knock myself down from playing a bunch of times a month to only playing once a month, maybe every other month. And then I make it a necessity also that the people that I play for, I don't play with musicians, full-time musicians. I can't do it because they're going to want to be paid, which they should be, but like for practice and all their time, because that's the only income they have.
Right.
So the first thing I do when I grab musicians, it's like, you got a day job? Yeah. You ain't relying on this check, right? Yeah. Now I'll get you paid when we play. When you do come out, we make good money because I don't play that often. So when we do play, it's packed. That's another thing. It's more of an event as opposed to playing 3 times a week and spreading your audience out. That's what I did. Honestly, it wasn't something I consciously thought about. I just thought to myself, I'm tired of playing shows and I'm tired of doing shows that I don't want to do. I was like, I don't want to do it. Every now and then I might, everybody got a price. Like, if you're going to pay me $600 to play an hour and a half and just people out there talking and laughing, I'll do it. Or like, for example, there's that one place I told you that was loud, that I've been doing every Wednesday.
Right.
I needed to get the rock band up and running, and I needed to get the quartet some shows because it's different when you're playing at your house and then playing in front of people. Because when you're at your house, you can just stop. How do people respond when they make a mistake? Do they freeze up or do they keep going? Do they, you know what I mean? So you want to test it out like that. I'll pick up gigs like that. That just, to me, it's like a paid practice. But not that I was practicing on the people that were there. It ain't like they were listening anyway, but so I might as well have been practicing on them. But you know what I mean? It's like we're working it out. So I'll take gigs like that. But for the most part, I only play shows that I want to play. And it's helped me out.
I think it's a good thing to admit or say about some gigs. It's funny, I'm kind of playing one of those tonight. I hesitated for a second because I don't want to downplay the gig. There's actually going to be a great crowd there, and it's a beautiful venue, and the band is a lot of fun. I just met them. But, some people go to hear the music, but they're mostly going out to be out with each other, and it's not a thing where they're sitting down and watching. They're talking, they're having a great time, and sometimes they're entertaining the band, quite frankly. So I wouldn't have even really thought about it, but it's a great opportunity to just sort of sharpen things up because people aren't paying such close attention that you can't mess around a little bit.
Exactly. That's what, like that when I was going to do, when I was approached, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that because no matter what, you're going to come professional and try your best. And you're not going to come up there. Like, I wouldn't go up there and it's like, okay, I'm going to write a song tonight. Let's write the song while we're out there. But you've got to get, if they're going to play live and they want to play live, then we've got to get in that situation. And I don't want to do that in a situation where it's dead silent and people are completely staring at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they're really listening. Like that is, I wouldn't do that at a show. Like if it was like a house concert or one of my shows at Saxon Pub or one of my shows where people go to the music. They're going to this venue to listen to music. This other place, they're going to this place to get dinner and, oh, there's a band playing. It's not the same thing. So that's why I would do it like that situation. But I've lucked out. I've had players that are really good. And this town is so full of people that was chasing dreams that the dreams didn't work out, that now they got day jobs, and they're just, the talent pool is just, and I noticed like a lot of musicians in town, they'll all play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they play with certain things, but I've never really dipped. I only dipped in, like, there's two guys, my substitutes, that I know that I need them, that I know that if I give them the music, they're so professional, I'll pay them a set fee no matter what I'm going to make, because they're going to learn the music and be ready to go. I mean, like, ready to go. Like a drummer I used, Bryan Mendes. I mean, I gave him like 20 something songs, and he was ready to go. A guy named Daniel Rhodes, bass player. I think his last name is Rhodes, but it's Daniel. Gave him 17 songs, and he was ready to go, like, without a practice. Ready to, showed up and killed. They show up and kill, but I can't afford them. So
on occasion,
I got to give blood just to play with them. But if it's a last minute show, if one of my players back out and can't do it, I've got them on reserves. Like, if they're ready, can you come do this joint? And there's a lot of cats in the town like that, but for the most part, I get people that have jobs, and I think Laura's in a situation where she's playing with cats, like musicians, full-time musicians. So she's got to pay them, but they'll come out and kill it for you.
Yeah.
So I think she's also in a situation where you can't afford to play a lot of shows if you have to come out of pocket. You just can't do it.
I'm guessing that over time she'll meet more and more people and find a nice balance between what you just said she's doing and what you're doing.
What I think what happens is, like, the people who play with everybody, when they finally build up something, she'll be able to afford that.
Yep.
So, for example, like now when I play with Bryan Mendes and I know his flat fee is a certain thing, I still make more than his flat fee. So I can even give him more money because I've gotten to a situation to where I make enough money that I can cover their flat fees. But it's not something I want to guarantee, because you never know what's going to happen.
Sure.
There could be one night where nobody shows up. And it always happens sometimes, and I'm stuck, and I don't like taking chances like that. But with, like, this town loves blues, and I think she'll get to a point, because she's good enough to where she'll get to a point where she can afford it. But at the same time, I was telling her, go out there and find people with jobs that love to play. There are people out there that love to play, that love music, and that want to just play once a month, that their family and stuff, life will only allow them to play once or twice a month. And then if you want to play more than that and you set up the gig and they can't do it, then go get those guys who will kill. Because then you'll have a gig that you can set up.
Right.
I mean, that's what I do. So it's like, and that's another reason when I left Seven Stones, it's like I was always in a band, so they were named, the bands were named, like Seven Stones or Prim or such and such. And I said, this time I'm going to call this band Ray Prim, because that way I can bring anything I want. If I'm booked by myself, I can be by myself. If I bring out any variation of the band, whoever can make it, that's how I tell people, whoever can make it, unless certain clubs, if you can make it, okay, you can't make it, okay, this is what this band's going to be tonight. That's how I live it.
I think that's smart. I have a couple of friends from the Bay Area trying to talk into doing a similar thing, because it can be tough to put together a small band, especially if you're playing and where, trying to play with people who have jobs and the gigs opportunities are what they are. Hey, I want to ask you about Tips concerts. Is that right? What it's called?
Tips? Oh yeah, Tips concert. That's tomorrow. That's tonight.
Oh, you're doing one tonight.
Yeah, Tips concerts is tonight.
Can you talk a little bit about them? I guess I saw that you have played them. I probably saw that you have a show there tonight, but it looked kind of cool. Yeah, just whatever you can share about them.
Tips concert is Mark Addison, a producer here in town. And can I say badass? Well, I already said it.
You can.
That's not very smart of me. This badass producer and musician, Mark Addison, and Wendy Colonna, another great singer-songwriter in Austin, they have this concert out at their house, at this ranch kind of thing. They built this stage, and people bring lawn chairs and all this stuff, and it's an outdoor concert. I think they hosted one last night. They maybe do. The season's going to end. I think they do it in seasons. I don't know if they do it in the summer, because Texas gets so hot. It's ridiculous to try to do anything outside in Texas. I think they do the season right now, and it's just a cool little laid-back thing. And I'm going to do it with a lot of house concerts, like little, small, real quiet things where I know there's only going to be like 30, 40 people. I'll do it with the quartet. They charge like $20, and it's BYO. No, what is it? BYOF? Is it bring your own food? No, potluck. Potluck is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll have a potluck, and $20, and it's a nice little set of change, and you go out there, eat some food, play, and I think we play an hour. I got Tom Meany. Like I said, you need to check out Tom Meany. There's another guy you should talk to is Tom Meany. He's got a cool story, and he's a great singer-songwriter.
How does he spell his last name?
It's Meany, Meny.
Okay, thanks.
I really dig his music.
Check him out.
Yeah, him. There's a lot of great songs. I could tell you a lot of great songwriters that I really dig, but he's the one I'm closest to. I'll talk to him on the phone more than I talk to any other songwriter or musician here in town.
Do Mark and Wendy, so they're a combination of songwriter, producer, musicians, do they perform about? Do they perform at their own venue? Are these seasonal concerts? I'm just kind of curious because I haven't known until kind of recently that much about house concerts. And when I initially saw their website, I thought, oh, this is kind of like maybe a smaller version of So Far Sounds, but it's not. It's a very local thing at a very specific place. But is it a business for them, or is it just more of a community thing, or a combination?
Definitely a community thing, trying to get back to. There's nothing like So Far Sounds. The musicians actually get paid. So Far Sounds, don't get me started on them. But anyway, the musicians actually get paid. So like they get those $20. I think there's a little percentage goes to the house, but last time I walked away with like $20-something. Wendy has her own band, so she knows. Wendy used to tour and all that stuff, and she knows how it is, and she played a lot of house concerts. But let me tell you something. That's where it's at. Like this whole going out to these venues and when people are drinking and doing everything, house concerts, like Tom turned me onto this, that is where it is at. Like you talk about intimate. We have this one that I play with the band, the 7-piece that we play every year, once a year, Rawhide Trails, Dino and Leslie Job, that they have. And it's by far my favorite show of the year. It's like, it's quiet. There's a potluck. People can bring them food. They have parking. You can interact. They appreciate the music. You talk with people after. You get to really meet people afterwards, meet them before and eat dinner with them. The house concerts are the coolest things to play, by far for me.
I'm happy to hear that. Do you or Tom or anyone you know ever market yourself to certain people or homes or venues for that? Or are you generally at a place where you're approached by people who host them? Or
I haven't figured out how to host. So here's the thing about house concerts, though, because a lot of people, they only do it once a month. They don't want to have a lot of people in their house all the time. So I have a house concert that's booked in January of 2019. Is it what year are we in? 18?
Yes.
That's next year. I have one booked in September 8th that I booked last year. Like the Rawhide that I play in November, I booked that in December of last year.
That's a house concert, Rawhide?
Yeah, all these, Rawhide Trails is one. And they always call themselves something house concerts.
That's cool. I didn't know that. And are they also generally, I'm kind of gathering that a lot of people who host them are like, they love live music, they love the community, the thing that they get to create, what you just described, people get to hang out with each other, the musicians get to hang out. So it sounds like, and this I haven't heard before, so these people are applying at least a little bit of marketing to it. They brand themselves, is what you kind of just said.
Yep.
And yeah, are they, and I'm sorry, I'm asking this again, and forgive me if you already answered it, but are they kind of like we talked about with tips, where they're more or less doing a community thing and they're just keeping a very small percentage to whatever, cover some overhead or make it not too much of a thing, too much work?
I don't know too much about that. Actually, maybe Tips doesn't. I don't know enough, because the last time I played Tips, like I know some do and some don't. So last time I played Tips, I didn't book it, and so I played because I'm very new to this too. Like the house concert, there's only one house concert that I got on my own, and that was Leslie and Dino. They don't take anything. Like they don't take anything. They have this nice house. They do it because here's how I look at it. I think it's a joy. It's like it's your own. You have your own little club, Like this is your venue. And if I had a big enough house, I'd do it because I don't want to go out. Like I can just bring great musicians to my house, set it up, have the sound, host people, see the joy in people's faces, and then leave. And then I don't go anywhere. Have my drink. There's no drinking and driving. There's nothing. I can just chill. And I think that's kind of what it is. But some houses do. And here's my thing. I don't care. If a house wants to take a percentage, I'm cool with that because, venues do. And the experience is nowhere near as cool as a lot of venue shows that you might do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure, like the Tips thing, I don't want to speak out of pocket because I'm not sure Because the last time I played, I walked away with $200, and I ain't complaining about nothing. If you took, I think we played an hour. So if you took some money out of that, fine. That's fine with me. I got $200. I don't think of it like that. But then I played one in Houston. I almost fainted. When she wrote out that check, so I went back there to get paid. It was me, Patrice, Patrice Pike, and Susanna Schofel went to Houston to play this Houston house concert, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the woman takes me back to the back to get paid. And so I was like, okay. And so she writes a check in $635, right? And she gave it to me. And so I was like, oh, man, yes, we made good money. And then she grabs a pen and starts writing again. I was like, what's she doing? I was like, what's she doing? She writes another check for $635. I looked at it, I was like, this just says Ray Prim. The next one said Susanna Schofel. Then she writes another check for $630. I was like, we each made $635. She was like, yeah, I had to do a double take. I almost did a backflip, and I can't even backflip. I would have broke my neck. I'm just like, it was crazy. I was like, I mean, that was one of the best times I've had, just sitting in there, showing up at this place, interacting with people. They're really listening. They can ask us questions. And I was hooked in. I was like, but here's the thing. It's like the Illuminati, trying to figure out how to get in on this thing. You can't just look them up all the house concerts that I've played. I've either gone through Tom or I've gone to one of Tom's, played a show with Tom, and then they've seen me and said, hey, we want you to play our house concert. Would you play it too? That's it. I've never gone out and seeked out and found a house concert because you don't know where they exist. It has to be like a word of mouth. So that's the kind of thing it is. It's like you have to have like a word of mouth kind of thing. But man, once you do it, it's good. Like the one in Rawhide, we average around $2,000 that we make.
That's cool.
Like if I have to, for me to make that in the club, and that's another thing. Like you have to be on their mailing list, and so it's not something that they really want you to promote. So they build up their own infrastructure by having a mailing list. So in order to go to their concert, you have to join their mailing list, and then they'll send you information to go, and then you have to reserve a spot. You know what I'm saying? So they build their infrastructure, and then they have this this following.
Yeah. Actually, that's very informative because I've been asking different artists and educators about house concerts, just trying to learn a little bit here and there, because I think for me it would be something nice to get into and maybe to even market them with particular bands that I play with, or maybe someday host them. So this is all pretty educational. I've been thinking about I mentioned a guy earlier, I didn't mention his name, but I was talking about the guy who tells the stories that has become a big joke about his relationships when he's playing. His name's Ezra Vance. And I got to meet with him when I was in Dallas Fort Worth somewhat recently, and we got to talking about house concerts, and I was kind of curious about informing people about the etiquette of it. But anyway, I was thinking it might be kind of cool to have him or someone like him back on the podcast to talk very specifically about house concerts, because it seems like something that, and now that you're telling me that all the years that you've been playing and you just kind of recently heard about them, and I'm also assuming that in your area, like in Austin and maybe Houston too, there's a house concert culture that differs from, say, whatever, maybe in San Francisco or somewhere else. So people are doing things a little bit differently. The etiquette may be the same, this sort of like you need to be on this invite-only circle, but I think it would be a great thing, a great service to both musicians and music fans for everyone to learn more about them.
Yeah, and what I've learned, I think it's a lot of singer-songwriter things. Like there's not a lot of big, you have to also have certain genres. Like there's only one that I play my full band. Outside of that, it's mostly these people host singer-songwriters. From what I've gathered, I know some people that just tour house concerts.
Yeah.
Like there's a girl that you look up, Anna Tipple, who I think is probably the best songwriter. I mean, this girl is up there with Ray LaMontagne. She is so freaking good. I just don't understand. Like I saw her at Cactus Cafe and there was hardly anybody there. And I'm like, I don't understand this. She played at the Cactus Cafe, and this is a great place in town. There was hardly anybody there, and she's just so great. But she plays a lot of house concerts. I looked at her schedule and noticed she did house. And that's another thing you can't do. Like when you go out on tour and stuff like that, and you have somebody especially when you don't have a booking agent, you'll go see bands that you're similar with, right? Mm-hmm. And then you look at the clubs that they play, and then you can contact these clubs,
right,
and say, hey, well, house concerts aren't like that. They're not going to just take you into their home and you contact them. Like a lot of times their information is not even on their thing. It's a hard thing to get into, but I think once you're in it, they'll ask you back. It may not be for like a year and a half. So you've got to set up a lot of them. I think you have to really get that thing going. But once you're in, there's house concerts all over the country.
Yeah, I've gathered.
Like this one. Yeah, there's people that just do that. And that's the best, most satisfying way, if you're not signed or anything, that's satisfying to your soul playing way to do it. Because you're not going to have a bad experience because people are there to listen to music. And there's also these rules too. Like you can set up rules and say, hey, no kids under a certain age. If you're going to talk, please go outside. This is a no talking zone. It's just how it is. And then every time I played one, the host gets up and then they tell people, this is the situation. We're no talking. We're here to enjoy music. Please respect the artist. If you do need to talk, they make them turn the cell phones out. There's one, Amy and another one I love in San Antonio, Amy and Gary's house concerts in San Antonio. I've played it twice now. It is wonderful. I love it. It's like they have this beam that everybody signs the top of the beam when they come in. They sign it. It's a beam that goes across the top of the house, and you go in there and you sign it and all that stuff. It's great, man. I've had the best experience outside of playing with the band inside of a club, because no matter what, when you go to a club, there's always going to be some fool in there talking. I mean, that's
true.
how it is. I don't understand why you would spend $20 to go talk. If your night was to go out and talk, why not go to a bar? And I try not to tell people, because back in the day, I would tell you to shut up. I just didn't care. It's like, listen, you need to shut up. I'm trying to play here. But my girl's like, you need to stop that. You're going to lose fans. Like, I don't care. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to let people police themselves. But if they try to police themselves and then they still aren't talking and they're still talking, then I'll say something, because other people spent their money too. And they spent their money to come listen to music. They didn't spend their money to come listen to you. And they always get in the front. That's another thing. all this club, okay? All this club. I had to tell one girl at saxophone one time, I was like, this place is packed. Go to the back. This place has a whole different room and you can still hear the music back there. They have speakers that go back there. They have speakers that go out to the patio where you won't be missing anything. Like, I appreciate your money, but come on, man. Help me out.
I don't know if you've ever done this or tried this, but I'm just thinking, maybe you can be a little like those house concert hosts, but at the beginning of sets or beginning of the show, let everyone know kind of what the etiquette is, that, there's a lot of nice people that came. All of you nice people came to paid to come see us, and we're so grateful, blah, blah, blah. If you get the urge to talk, though, remember that all these nice people came here to hear music, so maybe go to the back.
Oh, I do say that.
That's great.
You know what happens? He's so funny. What y'all laughing at? I'm serious. I'll say it just like you just said it.
You need to get somebody who's not so funny to say it then.
I'll say the same thing. I'll say, listen, I ain't come out here to hear y'all talking. So maybe this is my delivery. Because I will say so far ago, I didn't come out here to hear y'all talking. Y'all came out here to hear me. So turn your phone off. Let's do this. Let's have a good time. If you do need to talk, take it outside. If not, we will escort you. And I'll say something like that. And then people start cracking up and we're good to go. But I've learned that sometimes let people police themselves, because people now, like I tell people, I tell them red strips, I tell them, listen, I watch TV and play guitar. So a lot of the stuff that may bug you is not going to bug me, because I've been rehearsing for this. So if y'all want these people to stop talking, I ain't got the remote control. Y'all need to tell them to be quiet, because otherwise that's what I do at my house. I'll turn the TV up loud and I'll play a song. I'll play it to the point where the song is just second nature to me. I'm not even focused. So I can get through it. So that's how I trained myself. That's another little trick I've been trying to tell songwriters to do. But don't nobody listen to me.
That's funny. And my show tonight I was talking about is one where I'm not even going to have that choice. I could say whatever I want, but everyone's going to be having too much fun talking to each other. Ray, I know you have a massage coming up in a while, and I want to be respectful of your time. I really appreciate you coming on. We are going to feature one of your tracks at the end of the episode. You want to set it up for my listeners and tell them a little bit about it?
Oh, yeah. It's a track called Find a Suit. So I had a friend, which I'm not going to say his name, but then again, I don't got too many friends that I really talk to. But anyway, his girl wanted him to get married, and he wasn't ready to get married. And so it was called Find a Suit because when you get married, you have to go look for a tux or whatever. And so it's one of those things. And one of the lyrics is like, my young days are gone, the fading in the rearview mirror. She keeps telling me it's now and never. And that's one of the lines. And then my dad, when I was growing up, my dad always told me, it's like, you can be poor by yourself. If you're going to get married, find a rich woman. That's how I was raised. That's like, they didn't want to know what. I mean, this is the advice my dad would give me. It's like, if you're going to get married, find a rich woman. So, that's how some of the lyrics go. And so that's what it's basically about, is just like reflecting on whether or not you want to get married or not. And that's just for the fellas, because I write a lot of songs that for the ladies as well, about heartbreak. I got one called Hey. I have a friend. Well, that's probably another one. I don't know. You won't have time for that. I have a friend where Hey, where she was trying to break up with the guy. One of the lines in that song is like, your words never meant a damn thing to me. You say what you say. I see what you see. I see what I see. A crack in the road to you is like a canyon to me. Can we finally agree to disagree? And so that's about just trying to break up with somebody who doesn't want to break up with you. So I do a lot of breakup songs. But you know where I get most of my songs from?
Where's that?
Because me and Noel Hampton from the Bell Sounds. I finally found a kindred spirit who writes the same way I write. This is no secret, but I am addicted. I've had people, like my girls, think about having an intervention. I'm addicted to TV. I have 2 DVRs, and they're both full of shows. Listen, I can watch TV. My girl's like, I've never seen anybody like you before. I can get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and watch TV until my eyes are blurry, until it's midnight. And what I do is a lot of times my life is so boring, like, I go to work, but there's no really drama. So I pull from the drama. I've written songs about Grey's Anatomy. I've written songs about espionage. I've written songs about the best songs I've ever written is when Party of Five was on TV. Oh my God, the drama in that TV show just made songs. And Felicity, don't get me started on Felicity. Oh, I love that girl. Not when her hair was short.
I'm kind of happy to hear you say this, because in talking to numerous songwriters for the podcast, I've always kind of grew up thinking that in many cases, these songs are really just stories that had nothing to do with personal life. But everyone I've talked to is like, it's really been from personal experience or the experience of someone else. And anyway, it's kind of refreshing to hear that you get a lot of these great stories for your songs from TV. So, and the song we're going to feature is from your latest release, To Whom It May Concern, which I am really enjoying, kind of discovering here.
Thank you.
Dude, it's been a real pleasure to have you on. I will stay in touch. And yeah.
Please do. Good luck on your gig tonight.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Thank you. Help me play the part. Help me walk the line. To make me settle down. 'Cause, my young days are gone. So let's call it like it is. The fading in the rearview mirror. She keeps telling me it's now or never. 'Cause every story, man, has a story. Some people flip sides and roll over. They compromise, avoid, they hurry. It's better late than never. Flipping 3-sided coins will never help you. Decide now or never. You just remember what your daddy told you. 'Cause you can be poor, boy, by yourself.
your daddy told you, 'cause you can be a poor boy, yeah, by yourself.
Hey, thanks again for listening. The Unstarving Musicians podcast is edited for sound and content quality by Juan Perez. The intro-outro track is Alarm Clocks, written and performed by Redwood. That's me on drums. Be sure to visit the show notes for this and any other episode for links and exclusive tidbits and offers. You can find them at unstarvingmusician.com/podcast. Lastly, visit unstarvingmusician.com/resources for cool stuff that I personally use and or recommend to my fellow musicians and artistic types. With much gratitude, peace, love, and more cowbell.